Welcome to episode 177. We're inching closer to 200. Of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. He's Tony Michael in Atlanta, Georgia. And tonight we're just sitting back, chillaxing, watching some more of those interesting paranormal videos. Are they real? Are they not? Ladies and gentlemen,
they're all real.
Are live! We are live, episode 177. Hard to believe. Inching closer to 200. Real or fake? Paranormal videos. What do you think? These shows are always fun to do. All right.
Yeah.
Tony, how you doing?
I'm here. You're a little choppy, but I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? How now? Now
that's better.
Good.
That's
good,
better.
Good.
I think
okay.
it's the intro there, like when the song is going.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
You're choppy.
Gotcha. On your, it could be, Laura Burns.
Laura Burns.
Yeah.
Laura Burns.
So
our BFF.
That's right. That's right. So episode 177. Hard to believe. 177 smackers. This should be a good show. This is always fun to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that means
we'll
probably hit 200 this year.
I think so. Yeah. We like to change it up here on the show. We talked last week that there was, I guess over the last maybe 6 months or so, maybe a bit longer, we've started to sort of, change things up here on the show, and so it becomes more. There's more variety, right? We'll have, there'll be shows where we do like a movie watch along, and then there's shows where we just talk about like a topic. We haven't done a what if in a very long time, so we might bring back.
We gotta do something like that soon.
I think we've done 9 or 10 of those, so we might bring that back. And then of course sometimes there's just regular topics. Like the last 2 weeks was about Scream and The Exorcist, and we like to dip into some of these paranormal videos, which is always fun. And
they're fun. They're not meant to be taken seriously. Look,
no, it's fun.
I think the vast majority of them, I think we all know, but I will say this. There are some, and I think there are, tonight's one of those ones where there's a couple of these clips that we're going to watch that are going to go, You know what I mean? And I like the ones that, not to quote a song, but things that make you go, I like videos like that like, well, how the fuck did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, and I like that stuff. I'm still holding out for my paranormal moment. I've yet to. The only thing I got, and I have to. I know some people have asked me on Facebook to post that photo of the house that I captured with something questionable in the abandoned house that I captured with something questionable in. Yeah,
do you have that photo readily available? Can you send it?
Not readily available. It's on one of my hard drives that I have to go because it's on an older hard drive.
Okay.
I took that shot a few years ago, and then I have to go.
Okay, because when you get it, maybe we could show it here on the show.
Yes, on like one of these episodes.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And I have some old photographs I might be able to dig up too.
I still think it's glare from the lens or maybe a light reflection. But when I shared it a while ago. This is now like with my horror account, which now, believe it or not, that's going on like 2 years since I deleted it. Almost. Yeah, so we're approaching that. So it was around then when we had done one of those shoots. I think it was the Chainsaw Massacre shoot that we had did. One of the chainsaw shoots early, one of the beginning ones before I switched my Leatherface and I got a bigger, like last year, I got a bigger Leatherface.
Right.
To play the part for me. But the guy who did it first for me was good, but he didn't have that stature. You need a big guy to play Leatherface.
You do. I can't play Leatherface.
Neither can I. So I took this shot, like I was just taking shots around the house outside, and I didn't notice anything until I got home. And then I'm looking at the photo. I'm like, damn, it just like, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it is, but
I remember you showing it to me a couple of years ago. And I remember thinking, or maybe I
sent it. I know I sent it to you.
Yes. And I remember
in a DM, and I'm like, dude, what do you like? What do you think? Do you think I caught something?
Yeah.
I was questioning it because I'm like, I'm not one of these people who are going to run out and be like, yeah, I caught a ghost.
No, it looks peculiar. It does.
Yes.
Yeah. It looks but it could be anything. You know what I mean? But it
light
does
reflecting some shit.
But
I don't
certainly
know.
it does. You could look at it and be like, that's weird. That's kind of creepy. For sure. Yeah. So, I was going to say something. I forgot what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
I forget what I was going to say. 2 super chats just quickly came in from Mark Burns, $4.99. And by the way, those of you that maybe are planning or want to send in super chats, you can while we're doing the paranormal video stuff. We won't answer them. We'll get to those super chats and everybody else's questions, of course, at the end when we go over to the Q&A part. But never feel like if you send it in now, we're not going to get to it. If it goes by and we haven't answered it, we definitely will answer it. Just want to let you know that because sometimes people ask. So, but Mark Burns, $4.99 says, okay, let's go. Give me some BS, my dudes. We're going to do it, Mark. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
And then Mike Mullen sends in $2. Thanks, Mike. And says, would you willingly play with a Ouija board? I would. Yeah, I would.
Well, I shared my story.
You did.
When we were kids, I used to mess with them, or my sister used to mess with them a lot when we were little. I don't like fucking with that shit. But the one incident that we had at our old house growing up in Connecticut, my sister and her friend were doing this thing on the Ouija board one night so like back in the day, if you're a girl who grew up in the 80s and early 90s and you had hairspray, you had the big Aquanet cans, okay, that you just went just to get your hair like 10 feet high, right? Yep. If you're a girl, you know what I'm talking about.
I remember my sister doing that.
Yeah, so she took one of her Aquanet hair spray cans and put it into the center of the Ouija board, and they were doing this strength test thing with it. I don't know what it was. Me and my buddy Matt came in on it while it was happening. We didn't see the start of it, so I don't know if my sister was like summoning the devil or some shit beforehand.
Right.
But they're trying to pull this hairspray can off of the Ouija board, and we're watching them, and me and Matt are like, we're not believing this, but they look like they're struggling to pull it off. So now, to paint a picture, now we're in 5th grade at the time, me and Matt, and now Matt, he was one of those kids. If you had friends like this, he grew quick. Like he just grew. Like he could have been a fucking linebacker. Okay. Because he was just a big boy, not fat, but just built big, Right. And by 5th grade, he was already pushing almost 6 feet in height. So like that's a tall 6th grader. And he had the weight, not fat weight, but he was just, he had the weight to match it. So he wasn't like pushing 6 feet and scrawny. So he's a big dude. Mm-hmm. So we went and we tried to grab this fucking hairspray can off, and we couldn't. We moved it slightly, but we could feel this, whatever force it was, pulling it down, as me and Matt are trying to lift this thing off, and we looked at each other and we walked out of the room. We're like, we're done. And my sister threw away the Ouija board that night. She tossed it right out the house. And I'm like, girl, and she says to this day, that she still experiences a lot of stuff, from messing around with that with her friends when she was younger. I'm like, well, because you were doing stuff, man, that you probably shouldn't have been doing. I still firmly believe that the Ouija board is a Parker Brothers game. But having said that, I don't know enough to sit there and say what is and what isn't. And when you're talking about, something like, opening up doorways to some, whatever, and you're summoning stuff, I'm not going to say neither here nor there that that's fake or not realistic. I don't know enough to say what is or what isn't.
That's just it. And, the older I get, the more and maybe this comes with age, too. Not that we're ancient, but certainly, the older I get, the more I am okay with saying I don't know, and that goes with faith and aliens and I mean. With aliens, I can say that, yes, based on probability, right, and about the trillions of, stars and the billions of galaxies and the, billions of planets and the, based on probability, I think there's, we're like, there's got to be life somewhere, right? You know what I mean? And just, sure. But I don't know. I mean, it's not like that I'm up there and I know, right? And that goes with a lot of things, and ghosts and paranormal stuff. stuff and doorways and dimensions. I mean, there's what you believe and then there's what you know. And I think that too many of us tend to, you can believe something to be true, but, as I always say, right, having a belief in something is not evidence of that something's existence. It's just that you believe it to be true. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But, from a scientific perspective, we have to be able to measure it with one of the 5, taste, touch, hear, smell. We have to be able to measure it somehow. And if we can't, stories are really cool, and we shouldn't discount stories altogether. We shouldn't. I had an incredible experience in my second year of college with a abandoned farmhouse and all that shit that I want to turn into a movie and all that kind of stuff. But I can't conclusively say what's happened. I can only go by what I know and all that kind of stuff. There's people that play with Ouija boards that swear to God, oh my God, there's this and that and open doorway stuff. And there's people that play with Ouija boards that nothing happens. Right. So,
that's true.
We don't know, but there's definitely.
I will say this though. I hope in my lifetime I do have beyond just that Ouija board thing that happened when we were kids. I would like to experience something paranormal, and the reason why I say that is because I would almost take comfort in it, knowing that there is something beyond this, meaning our life. Like there's another plane of something out there. I don't know what that is, but at least I take comfort in knowing that. There is something else.
And that's what I've talked about this on the channel before, but that is, I do believe, and again, my belief is not evidence, but I do believe that there is something that either there's something that survives the process of death, or there is another realm or dimension that interacts with ours. And the reason why I say I believe that to be true, but that's not evidence that it is true, is because of that my experience when I was in my second year of college, and especially that one EVP. Now, EVP today, back when I was in college, there were these paranormal ghost shows and ghost hunters, and it didn't exist. No. It didn't exist. That didn't exist. And EVP now is sort of like in fact,
unfortunately, this is sad but very true. You take people like the founding couple, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they were fucking mocked. Throughout the 80s and in the 70s,
sure.
all the stuff that they were doing that really laid the groundwork for a lot of where paranormal investigators are today. They get a lot of respect for people who take this stuff very seriously, like you were saying, where it was when you were in college, but even not too far before that, in the early 90s and the 80s, the only people who were really doing it were people like Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they were mocked. They were laughed at. Now it's more accepted in our culture, but back then, no.
No, it's true. That is true. Yes, that's absolutely true. But I preface what I'm saying with what I said because, I understand, like today when somebody's, we're so saturated with it. And a lot of this stuff, it's not that it's not, they're not, but you have to entertain your audience as well. And we don't know what is true and what isn't true when it comes to a lot of these ghost shows. And EVP, it's lost its meaning almost now because everybody's buying these ghost hunting gadgets and these ghost caller machines. And we didn't have that. I had an analog cassette tape recorder. I had a tape recorder that I put a cassette tape in and just pushed down play and record and went. And that's it. I didn't have any, I wasn't dialing the frequencies and listening to the white noise and picking up 97.5, the Fox, and trying to pretend that the was somehow spirits coming through. It's the fucking radio station down the street. But anyway, that being said, I've told this before. We were at this house. It's 2:00 in the morning. It's late. It's winter. It's dark. It's just the three of us in there. Literally, it's an old farmhouse in the middle of a field, and it was just the three of us there. And I had my tape recorder going and you know, and we were walking around and blah, blah, blah. And my friend who was there started to feel something, and she was shaking and she felt a presence. And I'm not making any of this up. And she was dead serious. And she said, we have to go. And now, no, excuse me. No, that was another time. My friend didn't say that. She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. You hear me on the tape recorder saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? She's not saying anything. So, but before that, you hear me in the background and I have my tape recorder and I say, well, do you think we should go and check upstairs? I say, do you think we should go and check upstairs? And listen, I've watched a lot of these ghost hunting shows and things like that. And, you know, just for shits and giggles. And I've heard most of the EVP, quote unquote, that I hear is just like, you know, Sala, Sala, Sala. And then you try to, it kind of sounds like Sulla, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, you know, I mean, you apply your own meaning to it. It doesn't really sound like anything, but if you say a word, then you will hear that word in it. That's a phenomenon, and I forget what it is, but most of the stuff is like that. Not all, but most is. This is an EVP. And again, this is before those ghost hunting shows, before, you know, it was the cool thing to do. You know, EVP was not a common, you know, acronym out in, you know, the zeitgeist. And I had to learn about it. And so on the tape, and I didn't hear this while I was there, but on the tape recorder, as we're listening to it back later that night, because after I said, do you think we should go and check upstairs? That's when my friend she had the only flashlight the three of us had in her hand, and she's shaking, and she wasn't saying a word. And she said when we got back out to the car, she said, I felt somebody there. There was something just wasn't right. So we're listening to the tape recorder back at residence, because we stayed at on campus. And when it got to that point on the tape recorder where I said, well, do you think we should go and check upstairs? You hear clear as day. It doesn't sound like it. It is this word. You hear as clear as day, you hear, don't. That clear. Now, it wasn't me, because it was female. It wasn't my friend because she didn't say anything. And it wasn't the other person because she didn't say anything either. I was the only voice on the tape. And what is so weird, and I have it, and what is so weird about it, and again, maybe now it's not that impressive because there's a ghost show for every leaf on a tree and there's all sorts of EVP now. But back at that time, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I had never heard anything like this. And it was so strange and weird. And it wasn't like I had a ghost box that was picking up radio frequencies. It was an analog cassette tape recorder, you know. And what's so strange is it's, to me anyway, of course I have no evidence, to me it sounded female. It sounded like a woman whispering don't. Now, whether it is a woman or not, or I don't know, but that was my instinct when I hear it, or when I hear it, it sounds female. It doesn't sound male. And what's interesting too is that you actually hear a breath before the don't. It's fascinating. You hear don't. Like you actually hear an inhale, which is like wild. That's so fascinating. That little detail is so fascinating. And it does sound, in retrospect, it does sound like a different, there's really no better way of saying it. It does sound like it's almost a different frequency than how our voices sound on the tape. It doesn't sound like alien or, you know, robotic or anything, but it just sounds different somehow. And so that's just one example of many little things that happen to us, some big, some small. So I do believe, that's not evidence, but based on a lot of people's experiences and what they've experienced and all that kind of stuff, I think there's enough circumstantial evidence at the very least to be able to say there's something going on. I don't know what that is. I don't know if because there is no evidence that, unless the science has changed, doctors assume, and rightly so, that the brain produces consciousness, but we actually have not been able to prove that conclusively. So where consciousness and awareness comes from, is it produced from the brain? It's that brain, mind, consciousness, psyche sort of paradox. Like, what produces what? The chicken or the egg? And we've not been able to prove it conclusively, although there are things that we assume. When we die, does consciousness go on? Does it, where does the seed of consciousness lie? And where does awareness lie? We know the body dies. I mean, when we, depending on what your faith is, I mean, you don't necessarily, you're not going to die and wake up in your body because your body's dead. It deteriorates. We see it. It deteriorates and you either get cremated or buried. But where does your sense of awareness go? Do you know who you are? What are you? What all that kind, it's a fascinating topic. So in my experience, I do believe that there is enough circumstantial evidence to suggest that there's something going on, but I don't know what that is, and I think it's okay to say I don't know, because I don't, That's true. But man, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I got to play that for people here on the channel eventually. I will do that.
Oh, definitely, dude, definitely. Yeah, we there's a town in Massachusetts called Dudleytown. Now, this town has got so much Dudley, Dudley. Growing up, this town had all hype. Like a radio station went out there, and there was this incident where some guy got thrown into a tree or some shit. I don't fucking know. Right. This is like 80s, 90s, whatever. But if you lived in the northeast area of Connecticut, and Dudleytown, Massachusetts was sort of over the border of Connecticut, not too far. Hype. All you kept hearing. And it was an old historic town that the homes burnt to the ground, just a lot of bad shit happened there. So me being Mr. Romantic that I am, I took Chrissy on her 16th birthday. Well, hold on. I took her to Cape Cod first for the afternoon, so it was a nice romantic. All right. There is a little romance to it, but
you were doing what she wanted to do in the afternoon, and then kids. What you wanted to. Yeah, so
we were kids. So I took her to Cape Cod first to romance her over, but then I'm like, hey, on the way back.
Well, I was just saying, you did what she wanted to do in the afternoon, and then what you wanted to do at night.
Exactly. Bingo. And then some. Yeah. So we went to the town, me and her, after we had done the Cape visit, and nothing. It was just the two of us in there. We walked around, and we saw the foundation, it looked like old foundations of where the homes had burnt down, but nothing. We were there for a while. I mean, when I say a while, we were there probably for a good 2 hours, and just nothing. No weird vibes, none of all this stuff that we had heard, these stories about this town and all this crazy shit that happened. Nothing. You know what I mean? So I hope one day I get to experience what you did, at that. But because for me, it's just every time I go somewhere that's supposed to be haunted, nothing.
I think people need to also temper their expectations too, because, I can say with my experience back then, it wasn't very Hollywood. If I was to make a movie based on it, that's why, even George and Kathy Lutz said that the Amityville House movie was sensationalized to their real experience. And whether you believe the Lutzes or not, but they even said, there's things in the movie that are, sensationalized. And I think it is more likely that the vast majority of people who have paranormal experiences, quote unquote, are more tame and subdued. It's not the floorboards moving and the walls bleeding and Bathsheba coming. Right. It's not, that's Hollywood, right? They have to do that for the sake of entertainment, because often real stories of how it really went are quite boring. You know what I mean? That's maybe more geared towards, towards documentary as opposed to narrative. But I think if like for us, it's not
like
like
to show you how much The Conjuring got wrong. Here's another little tidbit that probably most people don't know. The first Conjuring, based on the Perrin farmhouse, the father, Mr. Perrin, he broke Ed Warren's jaw. He cracked him in the face.
Yeah.
And because he felt that Ed and Lorraine were amplifying the situation and making it worse and not helping them out. So like you said, you know, what we get told in the Hollywood version is nothing like the real version.
No, it's always based on. I mean, even the house in the and I understand it, right? From a cinematic perspective, you have to entertain. Now, you can do a documentary on the original and that's where you tell the real, unfiltered, paint by number, like just real as is, no sensationalism or whatever. But I think most paranormal experiences are like that. They're more tame. It's not like The Exorcist, or these Hollywood films. But I think some people might not you, but I think some people might think that when they go on a ghost hunt, they're expecting, The Conjuring or Insidious, and it's like, that's not likely going to happen. I mean,
sure.
It's more tame than that, and it's more subtle than that. But anyway, we digress. But yes, we will definitely have to do a paranormal show where we show and you can show your photo and I can get the because that's and I have photos too. So
other than the what me and my sister and my friend went through when we were little, the only other situation, like I said, I did the Dudleytown thing that I took Chrissy on for her 16th birthday. Nothing happened. And then I took this photograph that if I can find it, I'll send it to Dave. It's a weird, it's something weird in the window that I'm still not convinced it was a ghost that I captured. I think, because the camera lens at a certain, was it a flare? But the light source is really coming from behind me. It's not going into the lens. It could be a million and one different things, but I didn't jump the gun. I sent it to Dave and I was like, what do you think? And you even said like, it's interesting. That's basically where we left it as like, we didn't claim like, oh, Tony captured a ghost. We were just like, I don't know. It could be a million and one different things. So yeah, I'll go. I'll look through the hard drives here, and when we get ready to do another one of these watch along paranormal videos,
sounds good.
The next time I'll have it ready by then.
Sounds good. Texas Tootin' $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says one time a ghostly boy pulled my pants down and did bad stuff. All right, Dan Aykroyd.
I was about to say, all right, Ray Stantz.
Ray Stantz. Simon Mills says sends in £5 and says, hey guys, what is one mystery or strange event, paranormal or real life, that scares or interests you guys the most? Well, we sort of were talking a bit about that. I wouldn't say there's anything that scares me the most. I'm not really sure. I'd
love to go to the Sally Mae house. That's one of the supposedly most haunted houses in the country. In fact, you can do overnights there. And I sent her the text. I'm like, hey, what do you think? Anniversary? She's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I think the, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not really sure.
Like, I've been in so many abandoned buildings now, abandoned hospitals, like Connecticut. First of all, Connecticut had like 5 or 6 really like old school. I'm talking like where you would you would see the old, like, I mean, it's sad they did this back in the day, but it is what it is. They would do like the electric shock therapy in these chairs and stuff like that type of shit. I've been in those places and nothing. I mean, other than the stench, damp smell of asbestos, but yeah, those places don't really like, because I've been in so many now, it doesn't creep me out anymore, other than being on alert for like squatters.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. That's true. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. All right, let's do this. Yes. We are, and what is this again? This is what? Bub or what's it called again?
I want to give him a shout out too.
Bubbity Bub?
Hold on. Something Bub. Hold on.
Forget. Film Bub?
Bizarre Bub.
Bizarre Bub. All right, shout out to...
This is from his channel.
Shout out to Bizarre Bub. All right, here we go. So, as usual, we will... Sorry?
I was gonna say, do you want me to set it up? The first one is the first one is very interesting. I've watched it. Dave hasn't.
No.
This is directly coming from police body cam footage. So this is why I chose this one, because there's two actual good stories in this 30-minute video that he put in the 5 clips that he put together of the 5 different stories. And this first one, and then there's one in the middle that's more in length, that are really good, that I was like, there's 2 things that are really good, especially about this first one. The cop doesn't really skip a beat, and his reaction feels very authentic. I'm not going to spoil the reaction, but when we get to that point, I think most will go, okay, because you would think it would have gone one way, but it really didn't. His reaction seemed like, we'll get to it. So, and with police body cam footage, and if you're posting police body cam footage publicly, you're talking about, for them, it's a lot, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to just post, they're not going to put something out there that's going to, be something like this. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, all
right.
I thought it was interesting.
Let's check it out. Here we go.
Let's check it out.
Number 5.
On November 22nd of 2021, 2 policemen were called to search a house after the property owner suspected.
Oh, sorry, dude. You want me to try it again? Sorry.
Yeah, let's start over.
Sorry. All right, here we go.
Back.
5, 4. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah, give me the countdown.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
On November 22nd of 2021, 2 policemen were called to search a house after the property owner suspected that someone had broken in. Now, the house itself is an Airbnb that the owner occasionally rents out, but the owner was sure that no guests/renters were staying that night. She had dropped by to the house when she saw the front door open. Upon seeing this, she called police to search the house for any intruders. The police arrive and begin to search, but while searching the property, something very strange happens. The events that occurred during the search have left both officers extremely unsettled. All events were captured on a body cam worn by policemen. This is what was caught.
But they're out of town right now. They're with his parents.
And how many rooms do you have?
2 upstairs and 1 downstairs.
All right, we're gonna have to go and search the house. Is it okay if we go in?
Yeah, of course.
You don't have any pets or dogs or anything?
No.
Right. Just stay here, man.
Do we know this is real police footage, not just people pretending and acting?
Yeah, because they got the number sequence up there.
Okay.
Anyone's here, make yourself known.
And that's pretty much every
Okay.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask. You know how.
Police.
And before anyone says anything, it's actually very common, and the guy says it in here, for cops to go into a house with their flashlights and not turn the lights on, because they also have their gun in their hand.
Yep.
That's very, very common, because they're making split-second decisions, and they're not worrying about turning on lights.
Right.
So that's why they're used. So right now he's just heard some loud noises.
Anyone inside?
Ah! Oh, sorry.
Plus, you keep hearing the dispatcher too.
Yeah.
In the video.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I just thought I'd ask, because you know how sometimes people do that kind of shit.
Police. Anyone inside, make yourself known.
Door opens. It's freaking creepy. Door opens again.
Some naked guy.
Downstairs clear.
Yeah, he was ready to start fucking firing at that point. That was creepy to hear the footsteps running behind him.
Is that what that was?
Yeah. And that's what they're blurring out, by the way, is the gun, obviously.
I'm surprised he didn't yell out. Like, come on out!
I think at this point he doesn't know what the fuck's happening. I think he's freaked out.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Now, something that's odd about this video is that all the closets appear to be empty. Although somewhat strange, the video's description states that the homeowner occasionally rents out the house through Airbnb. So, as to prevent guests/renters from stealing personal items such as clothes, leaving the closets empty is necessary. Now, another thing that viewers point out is that the cops don't bother turning on the lights. This is actually normal though, as taking the time to find the light can spell life or death for the officer. All officers must be ready to confront any danger during a search, meaning that all their attention is solely given to the threat at hand. However, the doors opening by themselves when the officer searches upstairs, and the sudden footsteps heard right behind him are things that viewers can't seem to explain. Whatever it might have been, the homeowner can rest assured that nobody's inside. But depending if she's a believer in the paranormal, living with a ghost, or something else entirely, may be equally disturbing. This video, like most others, remains a mystery.
Okay, so pause it. Let's go back to our other screen here.
Like I said, his reaction seems very genuine because his breathing you start to hear him breathe very heavily. And that to me right there is like he's not, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't know how to explain what he saw. And if I'm in a situation like that, I almost feel like that's how I would genuinely react to it as well too, that my breathing would probably begin to, you know, if I'm a cop, you know what I mean? I'm saying I'm putting myself in the officer's shoes now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just quickly go and do, guess what? I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, of course.
I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. I just that between his heavy breathing and just his natural reaction, just to me, it was just like, I'm not saying it's paranormal, but
yeah, no, the only thing, so again, looking at it objectively, obviously my first, and this is normal, right? Because you want to, you know, if you want to get to the bottom of something, you have to ask all the questions. And so my first thought was, well, is this real police body cam footage, or are these two guys that, you know, it's fake, right? It's two guys dressed as cops and they're going through the motions and they got a light bar on their car because we didn't quite see the car, and, you know, and all that, and which somebody could do. I mean, you could, basically what I'm trying to say is if you wanted to, you could fake this video with it being police body cam, you know, footage. You just attach, you know, a GoPro on your shirt. In post-production, you add, you know, you could, I could do it. I could do it. It'd be very easy to do in today's world. Now, that's not saying it is fake. I'm not saying that. I mean, you say it's not, and for sure. But of course, those are the questions you have to ask, right? Because, you know, you just don't know, right? It's, I mean, you and I could do it. I mean, we just, you know, and so So that was my first thought was, okay, so is this real police body cam footage? Okay, let's go with that it is. Okay, so they're walking through the house. It sounded real, like from all the police body cam shit that I've watched online and hearing the sounds and the dispatch and the, you know, that little, you know, that thing that is there. That's a detail and a nuance that is nice to hear because that is kind of what you hear when you watch those things. They seem real. He seems just even the thing, you know, ma'am is okay. Do you have any dogs
just the
or
general
pets? Or,
dialogue seems very
it
authentic.
does.
You know,
For sure.
Like you
for
know,
sure.
like how people can like believe me when it's a production and people are trying to act. You kind of know
for sure,
you know
and that's what I was looking for. It feels believable, feels real. Like I don't have any trouble believing that it is real police body cam footage. I didn't know that about the light thing, but that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, that absolutely makes sense. Okay, that's good. The only thing that makes me, but again, I'm not in his position. I'm not a police officer. He may be able to rationalize it, say, well, I didn't because of this. The only thing is I'm kind of surprised when he didn't hear footsteps or when he heard footsteps. I guess those were, you know, footsteps, and he turned around ready to go and there was nothing there. He didn't go, come on out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, or say something to the effect of like, you know, get out of here. You know, we're not fucking around here. You know, this is the police or whatever. He said nothing. And for me, I would have been like, if I heard footsteps behind me, I would have thought, okay, it's somebody fucking around. It might be kids who just ran past me in the hall. Come on, this is the police. He said nothing. Kind of strange, but maybe not.
But now
maybe
on the flip side, if you're the cop and you turn around and you see nothing, you know what I mean? And of course, we have the luxury of watching it after the fact. I don't know what that sounded like to him in the moment.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
So beyond, okay, so what could the doors opening be? Well, it could be draft, could be wind.
Strap, someone's
right?
behind the door.
Someone's, right. It could be like the front door we know is open. So as soon as the front door opened, right, and they left the front door open, right? They didn't close it when they went in. They left it open when they searched the house.
Well, they have safety.
Right.
They would never close the door behind. Cops wouldn't do that. They would leave it open.
Well, that's my point. So when you open the door, what comes through, right? A draft, right? So the wind comes through, and who knows? Maybe it just, you know, the door opened, right? The two doors just kind of, you know, because of the draft. That is possible. It's possible. Absolutely, those things do happen. The only thing that is really peculiar is this. I guess what they're saying are footsteps. I didn't register it as footsteps right away.
We're thinking it's I'm sorry. The narrator, whoever that is,
right,
is saying it's footsteps. To the cop, it may have sounded not like footsteps. It's something that he can't identify. It's just a noise, right?
Right. So see, you're bang on there. That's an important point. The narrator says footsteps. So now the narrator is placing that label on the noise for the viewer who's watching it. But that's not. But do we have confirmation that's what the cop thought it was? Because the cop was there and he might have said, "Oh no, it was banging on a wall." I heard, because that's what it sounded like to me, just like that kind of thing, right? So it could have been footsteps, but to me it just sounded like banging. So maybe he turned around and just was like, "What the fuck?" Right? This banging on the wall or whatever. Yeah, it's weird for sure. It's weird. I wish
if this is legit, right? I wish that there was more, because to me, it looks like it's the arriving officers, because usually something like this happens, you're going to have a secondary unit come in with canine, right?
Yeah.
That's going to sniff around the house. Obviously, they didn't show that. And I don't know if there's canine footage of this out there of them sending in the dogs, you know, because you would think, I mean, logically, if shit like that is happening, he's going to have to explain it. So the next step would be to send in the canines in the canine unit. Maybe they hadn't arrived yet. Maybe they didn't call for it as far as backup. I don't know, because if I'm taking this at face value and it's true, these are the two arriving officers. They haven't called in for backup yet. Maybe they called in for backup after the fact. And maybe there is canine footage out there of the dog sniffing, because I would like to see, again, if I'm putting this in the real category for a moment, if it's legit. We've talked about this before, watching these videos. Dogs are super sensitive to that shit. they're extremely like,
of course,
when a dog starts reacting fucking wonky because it's just very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's what I would like to see. Like, you know, did the dog go in there and did the dog have a fucking bad reaction to it?
Of course, and you know, we have to all like it's process of elimination, right? Like our first thought must never be paranormal, you know, unless you see, you know, Bathsheba come through the wall and kill the cop, you know. But
that's a different story.
Then that's a different story. But beyond that, your first, it could be a raccoon, it could be a squirrel, it could be, you know, a squatter.
We get squirrels inside our vinyl all the fucking time.
Right.
And it's like, it sounds just like that.
Right. The vast most of these things, not all, but most, you know, unusual occurrences have reasonable explanations. So, you know, that's, you know, you have to do a process of elimination. Your first thought can't be paranormal. Your first thought, because in order to get to unexplained phenomenon, you have to first weed through and eliminate all the options of explained. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a bunch of things, but it is very strange for sure. And it makes for a creepy vid. So I like that. That's really cool. I like this. Very cool.
This one, number 4, I thought was a little lamer. I think it's kind of it's going to be easy for us to debunk, but let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 4.
This next video comes from Sean McAuliffe, who claims to have captured something pretty freaky on camera. Sean says that he's been living in his house for 23 years now, and ever since moving in at the age of 14, he's been seeing things that he can't explain.
That's weird in
Initially
itself.
thinking that it was just in his head, he didn't worry too much about it. But it wasn't until seeing more and more of these strange happenings that he started to think that maybe the stuff he's seen is actually real. While each of these incidents had to be spooky, this one has got to be the freakiest. It's late at night, and Sean is away from home when suddenly the camera in his bedroom begins to move around as it seems to be sensing movement from somewhere. A few seconds pass, and this is captured.
What, a dust particle? Here we go. So it's picking up movement.
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Yeah, see. Unfortunately, you're going to have one of these always in the mix of these compilations.
It's probably him.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably him.
There he is. Peekaboo!
And then it's peeking out a little bit more.
Of course.
Right. And it's disappearing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Then it comes at the camera.
It's always such a bummer. I mean, look, I'm sure it's probably tough. I don't know.
Come on out! Stop peeking, you bastard!
I don't know who this guy is who puts these videos together, so I'm sure it's hard for him to put these compilations together with material, you know. These ones always take me right out of it for a moment. I'm just like, oh, come on.
Well, because it's so easily, you know, is he,
all right, I think
as the camera points straight ahead, a dark figure can be seen peeking at the camera before slowly showing more of itself. But right before it's able to show some more, the camera points away.
Naturally.
When it points back, the figure is no longer seen.
Of course.
It's as though the shadowy figure was intrigued by the
camera.
That's more
creepy than the.
That's more creepy.
That's more creepy than the video.
Similar to the
Jesus
figure,
Christ.
Sean is fascinated by whatever this is, but at the same
it's
time, terrified by it.
It's him in the bathtub.
Overall, though, he's just glad that he caught footage of this mysterious figure, as he now has proof that something is inside his house.
No, it's not proof of anything.
But as always, you be the judge.
Well, we will. Don't worry.
Is this actual proof of something paranormal?
No, it's not.
Or was something else captured?
It's him. Look, he's surfing YouTube there on his TV. All right,
pause. I don't think we need to stay on this one very long.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, look, these videos are always fun. That's always fun to look at, and but there's just not a lot there. You know, it's just, you know, it could be him. It could be his mother.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess on to number 2.
Number 3, this one's the longest one. This is a 27-minute video. I think this takes up about 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that happen to this family. I was telling you before the stream.
Right.
It's a compilation of different videos from this family in India.
Okay.
Dot, not feathers.
Right.
And in their culture now, if you're not familiar with it, they don't believe in this stuff. Like,
Right.
They no, none of this stuff to them. The Hindu culture, they don't believe in it.
Right.
It is what it is. But the things that happen over the course of the next 10, 15 minutes that we watch here in these short little clips, it's pretty freaking spooky, and it's going to be fun to look. I think there's some of it that we're going to be able to kind of quickly, say, what we think as far as like, calling it out. But there's some stuff that's just like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, because there's a little kid that's involved, and he's seeing things, and just it's an interesting one.
All right,
whenever you're ready,
here we go. Let's check it out, folks. I'm pumped. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And sorry if the
On December
dots, not
2nd of
feathers
2022,
offended
a
anyone.
family
No,
in India
I
began
get what you
uploading
mean.
a series of
It's not
videos
offensive.
documenting strange happenings inside their home. Up until recently, the family hadn't posted these videos out of fear of being shamed by friends and family, as they don't believe in
That's
the
the other thing.
paranormal.
Right.
But
They can get
after
shamed by
experiencing an
people over
event
there
so
for this stuff.
disturbing, they deemed it necessary to share their footage. They reasoned that not sharing their videos would prevent them from getting the help they need. The following video is the first of many, all of which progressively get stranger and stranger. In this first incident, the family's at home when their son notices something very peculiar outside their window. Watch.
Is this like a baby cam, or what are we watching on?
Probably a baby cam.
Of some sort? It's like a security cam in their living room.
Security, yeah. Well, again, different countries, different cultures,
Yeah.
different situations. We don't know what
Do
it's
we
like
know that this
outside
is
the
a family
house.
in India, or is it or is it an Indian family in the U.S.?
No, they're in India. Father's
That's like,
"Shut
whatever."
up." Whatever. See, when it involves little kids seeing shit,
It's Jerry.
I'm not easy to dismiss it. It's Jerry.
After taking a second look at the so-called imaginary friend, whose name is Jerry, their son runs over to the couch in a panic frenzy as though he'd seen something pretty horrific. After rushing over to safety, he points out Jerry to his father, who seems concerned at first, but then later chalks it up to his child's imagination after being unable to see him.
Which is entirely
Although
possible.
somewhat strange, the parents
Right.
don't think much of this and continue with their usual activities. But in the following days, things would only get stranger. In one incident, the family's having dinner when all of a sudden, a loud knocking sound comes out of nowhere, followed by the smoke detector going off randomly.
Mine does that all the fucking time.
It was
I hate
from
that
there
shit.
on that
Yeah,
more
when you're
disturbances
cooking?
would occur.
Yeah.
But it's the following incident that's by far the strangest. The family plays an audio recording of a prayer through a speaker in the hopes that doing so would cleanse their home of the entity that haunts them. As they play the recording, this happens.
ये मैगेट्स कहाँ से आ रही हैं? What? Maggots? हाउस फ्लाइज के जो worms जो आते हैं ना, दो हैं अभी। इधर है ना?
That is kind of creepy that maggots start emerging. Like
It
in your
is
home.
if I could see the maggots. I mean,
I know.
who's to say he's not lying? I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
okay, I have to take his word on it.
Later, I will tell you. I want to
I mean,
I think at this point too, in their
what happened?
It's a maggot.
More maggots?
more maggots. and he's telling her to calm down, don't panic in front of their
बच्चा
son.
तुमको देख के सीखता है ड्रामा मत करो
Oddly
Oh,
enough,
worms.
playing the recording has led to the sudden emergence of maggots. But even more strange is that according to the family,
whatever.
they came out of nowhere. To this day, they have yet to come up with an explanation for this odd occurrence. But as if that wasn't baffling enough, 2 nights later, they capture something beyond strange. It's late at night, when a loud noise outside the bedroom wakes up the parents. Take a look.
Of course, and the reason why he's not talking and he's narrating in English is because he probably doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
Or much of it, anyways.
Now, this is a situation where you could ask, why doesn't he turn on the light?
Right.
I mean, you know.
The soundscape is really good.
Yeah, of the thing, whatever it is that.
Whatever he's playing. Yeah.
All that.
Oh, that's right. The chair
Without
moved.
warning, the
That's right.
small chair that's initially seen against the wall mysteriously slides over to the couch in a swift motion as though someone or something had pushed it.
Or is under
The father understandably runs back into the room, fearing for his safety. Viewers believe that whatever had slit the chair had done so with the intent of causing harm.
Or
Although we don't
giving
know
him
if
a
the family
seat.
agrees with this notion, they most
That
certainly
too.
agree that this next incident, which occurred a few nights later, is the creepiest of all. This is what they caught.
It's almost the same time.
Turn on the light. Especially the second time around, you'd think you'd do it.
Right.
The sound of running footsteps are heard running towards the father. As anyone would, the father bolts back into the room in full terror. Just like the previous incidents, this one has left the family completely spooked. They have no clue as to what is haunting them, and neither do most viewers. However, it wasn't until recently that a follow-up video was made by the father commenting on the incidents that have taken place. In this video, the father mentions a certain detail that, according to viewers, could explain why strange things are happening to the family. Take a look.
Okay, so this is like around 5 months ago. We had actually kept a maid.
His
over
English
here.
is not that
His
bad.
English is fantastic.
I don't want to mention nationality, but she had a very strange behavior, and initially we didn't notice it much, but later on, yeah, it was kind of creepy. She used to prepare food for us, and like you can say, like she used to make breakfast and dinner for her, and I don't know why, but she never used to eat her own cooked food. You know, we used to eat the food, and my son, and we have never seen her eating the food in front of her. And whenever we used to ask her, has she eaten her dinner or something, like she used to say, yeah, I've already eaten it. But we used to check the camera that if she's eaten or not. No, we have never seen her eating food at home. And this is where the maid used to sleep. And through the nanny
You
cam,
sure she's
what
not
we
under
used to
there?
see her every night, like 1 to 4 a.m. she used to like just sit down in the middle over here and just staring at our bedroom door, which was how can someone have like?
See, and I want to see that footage that he's talking about.
Yeah, well,
This-
yeah, you have to. If you're gonna make a claim like that, you have to show the
Watching at
footage.
our bedroom door.
Yeah,
We were scared of her.
because obviously you got the nanny cam, so
Right.
you can.
We decided to just lay her off, and after she went, and it was almost for a month. There was no.
Viewers believe that the maid, which the family had laid off, is responsible for the strange occurrences. They believe that in retaliation for being fired, she had placed a curse on the home, which is evident by the dangerous activity encountered by the family. Whether or not that's true, there's no denying that the activity continues to intensify with each new video captured. That said, this next video is no exception to this notion. The family is once again woken up late at night when this is captured.
अजय मत जाओ, मैं तुम्हारे पैर पड़ती हूँ, प्लीज।
नहीं कुछ नहीं होता खबर।
It's the maid. She's there. You can hear her on the other side of the door.
This story would make for a great movie, though,
I'm coming to kill you.
wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
This would
for
be
sure.
this would make a great movie. The whole story, the maid, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Just call it The Maid, like the nun. The Maid.
Now that could be a neighbor, obviously,
Yep.
banging on the because they live in tight quarters there, so there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of breathing room. So that's an easy.
It does sound.
debunk.
It does sound like it's in the same space in terms of it doesn't sound like it's added
But it
in.
could be the wall right next to.
Well, that's
them,
what I mean.
too,
It doesn't
and
sound.
making it-
Yeah.
right.
It doesn't sound like an effect added in afterwards. It sounds like
Correct. It's captured in the moment.
In the moment, right? But I mean,
It's weird.
that could be him. We don't know who's holding the camera. I mean, well, I guess we did see his legs,
Right.
but
Come here. Okay, I'm not doing this.
It
Now
appears
that
that
is
someone
weird, the
or
voice.
something had mimicked the
because
father's
the voice again doesn't sound
Although
like
pretty
it's an
terrifying,
add-in effect.
it's
It
the
sounds
latest
like it's
and
in
final
the room.
incident that has left the family extremely unsettled. This is what was captured.
And it doesn't sound like it came from a recorder, too.
right. I would say, yeah, like show the. Yeah.
He keeps running away. He's scared. Come on, man. Get with it.
No, I mean show the nanny cam
Oh,
footage.
yeah.
Like it's a static camera that's in the corner. Show it. Same time.
It's 5 minutes early today.
Oh, okay. It's 5 minutes early today. Well, you know, better be early.
Well, he's good at documenting time.
Yep. I don't remember that scooter being there. It's like that scene at the beginning of Ghostbusters. Look at these books. Yes, Ray. No human could ever stack books like that. It's like, there's a scooter there. Yes. No human could ever put a scooter there. No.
Oh, someone turned his sink on.
God, it must be paranormal. No human would ever do that. I think it's time to move out.
I'd say so. Well, it's probably not as easy over there
No,
as
no,
it
that's
is
true.
for us. You know, like it is for us to move and
Yeah.
whatnot.
I'm going to turn on the light.
Okay.
That's it, Rosalia. No human can stack books this high.
Mysteriously, someone or something had left the faucet running in both the kitchen and bathroom. After shutting them off, the sound of running footsteps are heard once again. Naturally, the father was shaken up. The family continues to document these strange occurrences in the hopes that someone can explain what's going on. Unfortunately, a definitive explanation has yet to be given. But what are your thoughts on this? Is the maid that was laid off responsible for the activity?
Well,
could Jerry, the imaginary friend, be the actual culprit? Or might there be something else that could explain all that's happened? As with most videos, this one has yet to be solved. If you caught something creepy on camera, or if there's any
pause it.
Wait till it says number 2.
Oh yeah, okay. All right.
ghost videos you'd like me to check out and include in the next compilation, you can send them over to scaryvideos444@gmail.com.
There you go, folks.
That being said,
Send it over
let's
to
get
him.
back to the video.
Pause. Number 2. Okay.
All right. So,
now that you've watched it for the first time, what is your takeaway from all of it?
Well, look, I mean, okay. So let me break it down. So does it feel real? Do the videos, not the activity, not the paranormal activity. Let's start with the video. Like, do I believe this is that this family is actually experiencing this stuff? Does it feel like a real video, not acting, not staged? You know, we've seen those before.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, it does. I mean, I could totally believe that it's not, they're not faking it. However, it's difficult to kind of look at this stuff and then just run with a conclusion because,
there's a lot of stuff being left out.
Right. And there's an Indian family in India. I'm assuming it's India. And you're right. It's a poor country. And depending on where they are in
Depending
India,
on where they are, because it's also a rich country too, depending on
where you are.
areas.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it depends. But, and I say this with all due respect, but I, if they are in a poorer neighborhood, in a building, it's not, I mean, look, there are apartment buildings here in Canada and in the US that have cockroach problems and bed bug problems. And, you got to bring, an exterminator. I mean, so to see maggots, listen, if you're in a poor place, if you're in a building that maybe the building has issues with infestation and bugs and they just, and we didn't see the maggots, so we have to take their word on it. And maybe those are maybe that's a comment, maybe a neighbor down the hall has a maggot infestation too. Who knows? So that's like, well, walking out into the living room in the dark. You see, it's one thing if you're getting up to go to the bathroom and you're walking through the living room to the bathroom. Well, that's different. I could understand, like, I don't turn on, if I'm like, my bathroom is just down the hall. So I don't have to get up, turn on all the lights, because I'm not in fear of my life. I don't think there's anything wrong. So I could believe that if he was just getting up to go to the bathroom, we would see him walk by on the nanny cam in the dark because, but when you think there might be somebody in your house, or I have trouble believing that he wouldn't turn on the light. Now, you see, what people tend to forget is, when they're, and I'm not saying it's fake, but I'm just saying, I'm playing both sides. When you are faking a video and you want to do, you will do the more dramatic thing and creep around in the dark with the lights and things, because it's better for video. It's better for the effect. It's creepier, it's eerier. But especially after the first, but let's say for whatever reason, let's say it's totally legit. He's got his phone, he's walking around. Okay, all right, fine. Okay, let's say that. He hears something and then a chair on its own moves across the floor. I don't think you would be creeping out into that living room again in the dark with your phone light. I think you would, from that moment forward, logically be turning on the lights.
Sure.
It feel like he's in this perpetual state of creeping around his apartment in the dark. That makes a better video when you add the creepy music. As you can see here, he notices, and just the light. Yeah, I get all that, but would you do that? I don't know. Is there something I'm missing? Like in his building, they shut off the electricity between certain hours or something to save money. I don't know. But it's and the nanny cam. I want to go show us the nanny cam more, because that's a wider shot. When you're showing us on your phone, it's more claustrophobic. The lens is narrower. I want to go to the wider lens. I want to see the space. So you know, like it's, I will say this, it's not overly sensational. So I think there's believability to it in terms of there's something weird going on, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he's, you know, I have no idea. I tend to lean towards that it's not real. But it's more convincing than...
It's enough. I think it's enough to say, I want to see more. I need to dive deeper into this.
Yeah.
Show me more stuff, because you've got me interested enough in your story that I would like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see that nanny cam footage of the nanny sitting up and just staring.
Exactly.
Because that in itself is creepy, even if it's not haunted. That's just fucking creepy just to have someone staring at your bedroom.
Even if there's a logic, right. Even if there's a logical explanation for it, you know, like she has just these night things where she, you know, she sleepwalks or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, I want to see. Now, it's entirely possible that maybe it's a nanny cam that records for 48 hours and then begins to record over again. Sure. That's entirely possible. So maybe it doesn't exist. But
well, it had to, because he described it. He said it.
No. I mean, like the footage now doesn't exist because it's since been recorded over.
I gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it's not.
It would make for a really good movie, though.
The Maid.
It really would. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it The Maid, but just...
No, I know.
You know, just everything that happened and transpired, I was watching, I'm like, this would make for a really good, not like a Paranormal Activity type movie, but just a really good, creepy ghost
it could make a great short film even.
That too.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Let's do it. It's like that scene in Spaceballs. She's gone from suck to blow.
I'll fly you down for a week and we'll do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it up. We'll do it.
Right.
The Maid.
Two Dudes and Some Bullshit presents
The Maid.
The scariest ghost movie of all time.
But the tagline has to be that line from Spaceballs when the big ship turns into a maid, Mega Maid or whatever it is, and it's like she's gone from suck to blow.
And then, good night, folks.
It's like, what kind of movie is this? I don't know. I mean, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, number 2 here. Here we go. 5.
Yeah, the last 2 are kind of on. You know, I think they're more self-explanatory, but you know,
check it out. That's fine. Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 2.
The following video comes from Deanna Boyce, who's the mother of 2 children and the wife of her husband. The house that her family lives in is a place they happily call home, as plenty of significant events have taken place there. In other words, lots of memories were made at this house. But one memory in specific frightens Deanna, as thinking about it makes her feel very uneasy. For months, her oldest daughter has been telling her that someone is inside her closet. She would often give the name of the person who's inside, which would usually be the name of a family member who had passed away. But recently, she's been saying that a bad man is inside. Feeling spooked, Deanna had thought about contacting someone who could help her cleanse her home. But it was after seeing the following video that she immediately knew that a proper cleanse was needed as soon as possible. Her daughter is asleep.
She levitates?
This is captured.
Holy fucking
I wish.
That'd be wild.
It's subtle.
She sits up like Michael Myers. Oh, the sheet's gonna move, or that pillow at the end of the bed, maybe?
Nope.
One of those.
But watch how it happens. It stops.
Yep.
And then it continues.
Right. It's a squatter naked. It's like, what the fuck? Kid remains asleep.
Pretty much through the whole thing. It's creepy because it's daytime, which I like.
Is it daytime, or is it just look like
the closet door mysteriously opens on its own?
Oh, maybe that's a nightlight.
I think it's a light.
Seemingly trying not to wake Deanna's daughter. Deanna states that no one could have been inside, as there isn't enough room for anyone to be there. Like most viewers, she thinks that something is in contact with her daughter. Unfortunately, this incident continues to haunt Deanna, reminding her that something dwells in her house, and that whatever this might be, is possibly attached to her child.
Okay.
All right, number one.
Number one.
What the only thing that what I would say is creepy about it, as far as a cool visual effect goes, is how precise they got that door to stop initially and then continue. You know, other than that, it's just, you know.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, you know, again.
It's an easy one to debunk, but I whatever they did as far as visually to get it to stop precise like that, I think that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's no, for sure. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, it's hard to say if it's just because these things are so. I'm not saying that it's not real, that it didn't really happen, but there's so many. I mean, was it faked? Was she lying in the corner pulling on a fishing wire?
Right.
You know, it's like baby, we're just going to do this thing.
The only thing is I mean, how do you, like, if you're pulling on a wire and it, like, how are you getting the door to stop so precise like that?
I think you just pull a little bit and the door's going to move and then it's just going to stop.
But even if the door comes to a stop, because I tried that and the door is still subtly moving even as you stop pulling on it. It's still going to subtly move.
I mean, without testing it,
halt.
Yeah, without testing it, I'd have to, you know, I mean, it doesn't. I don't know.
Again, I'm not saying it's real. I think because whatever they did, unless they paused the video, which is possible. I mean, they could have very well paused it at that point. Yeah. When you're opening up a closet door, even at that slowly, and you stop pulling on it, it's still going to glide just a little bit.
I understand what you're saying. Well, maybe she's out of the corner with her hand, right? And she pulls it. Yeah. She pulls it and right to her hand, right? I mean, there's so many different. And the fucking ceiling fan is on.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't even notice the ceiling.
Right. Fan so the ceiling, So you know, the ceiling fan is creating a real draft, like real air, like a downflow of air. So who knows? I have no idea. I mean, you know, it's difficult when we're dealing with doors slowly opening because there's so many logical explanations that it could be that the first one should never be paranormal. Right. But I mean, you know, it makes for a creepy vid, you know, and it's all fun. Sure. It's good for these kind of things. No, I like this kind of stuff. It's fun. All right, last one. Let's do it. Last one. Here we go. Number 1. 5, 4, 3, 2.
This one's an easy one.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easy one. The best one so far is this video.
A person named Josh Flesh.
It's actually one of my biggest fears going into places like this.
Along with some friends,
I think it
Josh
is.
checks out the cells and other sites inside the building.
I love the environment.
But when Josh decides to go upstairs by himself to check the cells above, something pretty creepy is caught on camera.
The abandoned prison? Yeah.
Take a look.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I may or may not have climbed up.
Clearly you did.
There's no stairs.
Well, you levitated.
Yeah.
Upon arriving at the last cell, the silhouette of a person or something can be seen inside.
Yeah,
Josh was immediately shaken to his core when he saw the dark figure standing there. Although neither Josh nor his friends have any clue as to what he saw, they can't help but feel that something paranormal had appeared.
I know what it is, but my gut feeling knows what it is. Like I said it earlier in the stream, it's one of my biggest fears.
Oh, okay.
What exactly did Josh see inside the jail cell?
It does look like a person.
I know.
It's back to the camera.
It probably is.
Yeah. So, and that's
Thanks
it.
for
Subscribe.
watching.
No problem. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the screen. I'm laughing.
I'm going with what my biggest fear is going into in a place like this. It's a squatter.
It's a squatter. Okay. Well, I'm laughing not because I'm laughing because it's actually well done. It's actually like if it's fake, it's funny because it's it's like, can you imagine? You know what I mean? The guy's like, whoa! You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's me and I walk and I see someone standing there, it would freak me out too because I'm thinking squatter and I don't know what this person's gonna fucking do.
For sure. And the thing that's so hard too with the way these, especially the one we just watched, the way these videos are put together is clearly, I mean, maybe not unless he turned off his camera, but wouldn't you like to see the rest of that video, like when he gets down to his friends, he's talking to his friends. There's something up there, guys. I want to see that, because if it's legit, if it's real, and it's not his friend Bob, because maybe, the cell at the end of the thing actually could open a little bit, and like, Bob, go down there and fucking stand in there and face the other way, and I'm just gonna come down. I'm gonna be like, oh, he's like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, I want to know, like, it seems more real, because videos like this always cut before we can get to any sort of resolution. And I'm always like, I want to see him like, guys, get up here. There's a fucking guy up here or whatever. Or, like I want to see that, and, we never do, because obviously maybe they only send that part of the video and they're like, oh, I stopped filming before that. And okay, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It could be a squatter. You're right. I find it strange that the squatter is ominously standing with his back to the thing, because obviously he would be able to hear them. He'd be able to hear them.
There's some weird people doing weird shit.
That's true. Maybe his back is to him because he's got his female squatter in front of him.
Dave's cracking some Tony jokes tonight.
I'm just saying. No, but so I think that yes, I think it is likely. Listen, it could be a digital effect. It could be that they just added
one of their friends just standing there and he just acted.
Could be one of their friends, like, Bob, get up here. Why? The fucking cell at the very end is actually open. Go in there. We'll close it. We'll slide it across, pretend it's closed, and just stand with your back to us. This will be a great vid, man. This will be a great vid.
What's good about ending on a video like that?
It's fun. That's a good vid.
Now take his reaction, right? And now let's go back to the very first video, the cop's reaction when he heard the noises, how he didn't freak out. That's why I believe the cop more than I believe this dude at the end of the video. The end, it's just too predictable. It's too, I'm freaked out, I'm going to go running away. Whereas the cop, it's heavy breathing, and he's having a hard time. Again, I'm taking it at face value that it's real. He's having a hard time processing what the fuck's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially if you're someone who doesn't believe in this stuff and you're very like, and you don't really watch this stuff. You're not into horror movies or whatever. If you're someone who's just so green to all of this and you're in the situation in the moment, the cop's reaction is more believable to a real scenario, to someone who can't figure out what the fuck's going on right now. Whereas this dude is just, okay. Like, ooh.
Yeah. And I have no doubt that I agree. And I have no doubt that, it would startle you for sure. You would be like, but then.
Yes, if it's a squatter and you're not expecting it, 100%.
100%.
Yes.
And, but you would think that he would be startled too. Like, he's just ominously there with his back to the camera.
And doesn't even move.
And doesn't even move. You know what I mean? So, now what would be two reasons for that? Okay. It's a demonic ghost. Yep. Okay. They're just doing that to scare you. Okay. It could also be your friend Bob, who knows you're coming, and he's going to be there with his back to you. There's lots of different scenarios that it could be. But as far as if it is faked, it's a good one because it does startle you. It's like, oh, that's why I laughed. I was like, oh, that's good. Scare. Yeah, right. Exactly. I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. If it's real, then I would say that it's probably a squatter. Yeah. Again, we have to. We can't
jump. Someone who's tweaking out on something fucking hard too.
Right. We can't jump to paranormal yet. Like, paranormal's got to be your last one. So you got to go through the rungs and go, okay, could be fake, could be his buddy Bob, could be a squatter, could be, what I mean? And so, and without without the rest of that video, unless he did shut off his camera, but he probably didn't. Like, when the video ended, it's probably not when he stopped recording, unless it was fake. Then he's not really scared and his adrenaline really isn't going high and he can actually stop the recording. If it's real, squatter, whatever, ghost, let's say, then his adrenaline is pumping and chances are he doesn't stop that, recording at that moment because he's too busy running down the fucking thing, talking to his buddies. I want to see that. I want to see his buddy's reaction. I want to see all that. And, without that extension, it's hard to, be like, yes, it's paranormal, it's fucking Freddy Krueger or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. But these videos are always fun. I like these shows.
Yeah.
They're fun. But I agree with you. I think the best one I think was the cop one. The
family from India. As far as like the family from India, I like the story, and I would love to almost turn it into a movie.
Right.
Because it just has all the right elements to make a good ghost paranormal type movie. The kid laying down with the door opening, obviously there's a million one ways to do it. The only thing I was really impressed with is how it starts to open and then it just comes to a halt, stop, not like a slow stop. I mean, it's like something stopped it right there and then continued. I didn't even notice the fan until you said that.
Yeah, fan
and I
was
was like,
on.
oh yeah, that's right. The fan is constantly moving just to show that the movement.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one in this? Oh, the dude peeking out in the bathroom. Yeah. Okay, dude.
Sometimes I've seen ones that look very, not that one, but I've seen ones that look very digital. And it's like, oh yeah. Do you remember the one we watched? We watched it here on one of these paranormal shows that we did, and it's like a girl that like.
Yes, it's kind of like something like out of The Grudge or something.
Yeah, and they're on like the front porch, and the girl in the house kind of goes like this, and then jump.
Yeah.
Why are like? I guess ghosts just have great senses of humor. They're always peeking around things. Like, why don't they just fucking walk out? Just walk out. Why are they always why are they always peeking around corners? Just fucking why? If you can peek around a corner, you can walk out and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Anyways, let's jump over to the chat room and take some questions for a little bit here and see what you guys and gals and everybody in between are saying and talking about, and whatever you want to talk about, let's talk about it now. And while people are thinking of questions to ask us, Tony, you saw the Scream 6 trailer, I assume?
Oh, yes, I did see the Scream 6 trailer.
Yeah, I did a couple of videos on it last week. I liked it. I was a little underwhelmed at first, but I thought it was all right. I'm intrigued. Curious. I'm not a fan of the poster though. I think the poster is a little. I'm not a big fan of the poster, but the trailer I did like. And
I mean,
I'm looking
the poster
forward to it.
was all right. I don't know. It's a poster.
Yeah, just too many floating torsos.
It's busy. It's busy.
It's a little busy.
Sure.
It's a little busy.
But whatever. Not the end of the world. As far as the trailer goes, no, I really liked it. It's got me hooked. Didn't tell too much. I'm not jumping the gun on the whole shrine that we see revealed in the trailer. I can't take 2 seconds of showing me something and not knowing the context of what's going on in the movie at that point to say whether that was a good direction to go or a bad direction to go.
Right.
I know still diehard Scream fans are still on the fence because of no Neve Campbell. I'm hearing rumors about her possibly being the killer.
She's not.
I hope
she's not.
No, it's not. There's no. She would not tarnish Sydney's character like that. There's just no.
Look. I mean, anything's possible. But
sure, is anything possible? But I just don't think she would tarnish the character's legacy like that.
No, and I think fans just make up. It's like the fan theory fandom world is so saturated and so intense and so the back and forth and all this kind of stuff that they want to believe that there's some sort of it's all a joke, it's all a ruse, and it's not. I believe Sean Clark reps Nev for conventions, and he said to me, and he also said on his channel, because Sean and I talk, not a lot, but we'll talk, every now and then. And he said it to me, and he said it on his channel. But then, of course, you have people going, "Oh, Sean's just covering for Neve Campbell," and it's like, no, of course, everything's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Sure. Everybody's a suspect. But he said, I talked to Neve, I because I needed to know her schedule for conventions and things like that, and no, she's not in it. She that doesn't mean she won't ever be in it ever again, but Scream 6, she's not in it. And he says, you can take that to the bank. Now, again, is it, it's not like I'm best friends with Sean. Is it possible? Yeah, sure. But I think the probability is so low that it is highly unlikely. So I wouldn't be going to Vegas to make bets on it. Okay. Yeah. I can tell you that. No, she's not in it. And we know the reasons why. And but like I said, is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I tend to I believe Sean. He sounded very, sincere, and he told, and he'll often say things to me that I don't repeat either, because it's stuff that it feels like it's kind of between him and I, or him and me, or him and I and whoever else he tells, details and things like that, where I'm kind of like, yeah, that makes sense, whether it's about Halloween or whatever, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that I believe him. It makes sense. And when I think about how contracts work and, business works, and again, I mean, it's not like I've ever signed a multi-million-dollar contract or been in a position where I'm ready to do so, but I've signed a lot of contracts in my life in the world of voiceover, and signed many NDAs in my life, and I can apply my experience to that thing, all that kind of shit. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. It makes perfect sense to me. So I don't think she's in the movie at all. I think it is absolutely truthful that she's not. And
I'm excited though. I think it's, I mean, I didn't get into a long thing about it, but I posted something on Facebook the other day and just said, I like the direction it's going. It doesn't feel like a typical Scream movie, and that's what I like. It's hard to reinvent, especially a movie like Scream, and give it a fresh take. And from what I can see in the trailer, and again, that's only a minute and a half trailer, it looks like the new direction. They said even Kevin Williams said that this is going to be a very different type of Scream movie, and by all accounts of what I've seen in the trailer, he's right. So
I hope it is.
Does it mean is it good? I don't know. Is it bad? I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll find out in less than a month and a half. So.
I made a video talking about how, and again, it's speculation. I have no fucking idea, but I was, speculating, saying, hey, what if, Billy had a daughter, but Stu had a son, and a son we didn't know about, and maybe it's the son. Now he's already made that choice, and he's crossed over, and he's just recently learned that his dad's best friend had a daughter, and he's going after her, and because Sam is on the edge. She's not fully dark, right? But she's got those tendencies in her. You know what I mean? And I know that the theme of that, there's parallels to some of the themes you see in other movies like Star Wars and things like that. But to me, I just hope it's not another Scream movie just set in New York where, yep, the killers are Kirby and the cop. It's like, right. Like, didn't see that coming. I'm like, take some risks now. You're into the 6th fucking movie. Now it's got to be calculated. You can't just arbitrarily do things for the sake of it. But I think I'm pulling for something. The reason why, and I'm not saying it has to be Stu's son, but the reason why I'm pulling for something like that is because I find that interesting. You know what I mean? It's somebody we don't even know or expect, or it's like, what the hell is going on? Because people already are going, oh, it's totally Kirby. It's Kirby because she's an FBI agent, and who else would have access to all that evidence? And that's the shrine. And if that ends up being true, it's like, wah, wah, wah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's too obvious.
I don't think it's that. I
don't think it is either. I think that's, yeah. I think because it's too obvious. I would love it because we're always introduced. Now again,
I don't even want to know who it is. I hope it's someone new. I hope it's no one,
That's the thing. I was just going to say that this changes the formula a little bit, less of a whodunit to I wonder who it is on it kind of thing. Because I've often in the past said that the original Friday the 13th is a whodunit, and that's not entirely accurate because we're never introduced to Pamela beforehand, so we never have an opportunity to figure out who's, like, of course we're not going to know who's doing it because we're never introduced to it or to the actor. It's a whodunit for all intents and purposes, but it's a bit different. The Scream movies were always introduced to the killer beforehand, right? So they are real, truthful whodunits. However, I would be okay if they took a little bit of a page out of Friday the 13th, the first movie, where we're introduced to our returning cast and our new cast, but it doesn't. But we're so used to thinking it's one of them, that's where our mind goes, but it ends up being somebody we don't even
from left field, and it's like, oh
right,
shit,
like Stu's son, or some
whoever,
right, like whoever, right? And to your point, and I gave you a couple of shout outs because it was your idea. I mean, well, I don't know if you're the only one that's thought of it, but certainly you brought it to my attention and our attention here on the channel. Is I would love it too if it ended on a cliffhanger. Where
and
maybe
Ghostface doesn't die, right?
Right, and we still don't know who Ghostface is,
yes.
And it's kind of like, oh shit! It's like, because it changes things up a little bit. It's still a Scream movie. It's got all the Scream movie DNA, but every Scream movie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is a complete individual story in and of itself. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it wraps up. We've never seen a Scream movie just end. And it's unfinished, and it's going to carry over into the next one. The same story with the same killers. It's like, because that
Because you want to know what
excites me.
that does? Also, it gives content creators a lot to work with over the next year or so on who could Ghostface be.
It's not why they would do it, but it certainly does.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, well, look, if I'm in a production room, right, and I'm thinking like, what could we do to, really, and not only just deliver a good movie, but get people to still talk about the movie even after the fact, while we lead up to Scream 7.
Yeah.
Leave it on a cliffhanger. Don't reveal Ghostface. So, I mean, look, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? When it comes to people talking about it. If they're talking about it, if like Halloween, whether you liked kills or ends, people were talking about Halloween for the last, 5-6 years since the launch of this new trilogy.
Yep.
Always talking about it, always speculating. With Scream, it's a done deal. Once you know the reveal of the ending, you know, right?
That's
but
right.
if you don't know who the killer is, and you have all this speculation that people are going to talk about until the next one comes out, who they think it is.
Right, and I mean, look, when you're cutting trailers, there's certain lines that will come from the movie that will be in the trailer. Sometimes they're just lines that are for the trailer, and of course we hear a line. We've heard similar lines, before. You got Roger Jackson, the voice of Ghostface there. And he's like, that may be true, Gail, but there's never been anybody like me, and it's like, okay, that's a great line for a trailer, but but then don't make it just Kirby. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, and do something, don't change the DNA, but take that's at this point. And maybe it's because Scream for me is not one of the franchises I'm overly emotionally attached to, it's not something, you know what I mean? So maybe I feel I'm more willing to take those risks because I'm not a ghost head or whatever you call them. And maybe hardcore, like maybe fans that like how, that like Scream and are invested in Scream emotionally, like how I am with Halloween. Maybe they'd be like, no, you can't do that because it's sacrilegious, because, and I get all that. But for me as an outsider looking in, I'm like, fucking take those risks. It's time. Yeah. Because if there's one thing that Scream 5 was, I mean, look, they killed Dewey. Like the most interesting thing about Scream 5, right? From a story perspective was really the introduction of Sam. Holy shit, Billy had a kid. What the fuck? Right? And she's having delusions, seeing her father. Like, that's interesting. Let's build on that. Let's nurture that. Right? Because everything else was just a Scream movie. So that stuff excites me now. I think it's time to do that. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with this. And I'm hoping, it doesn't have to be Stu's son, but I'm hoping at the end it's not. Look, I would be okay if it was Ortega. I'd be okay if it was Jenna Ortega. Now, it would be more difficult because she's 5'0". You know what I mean? So, her in a Ghostface costume.
And her trajectory right now, I don't think they'd do that. I think they're going to make her the face, the new face next to Sydney. She's, you know what I mean? I
actually think it's going to be Sam. I think it's going to be Sam. I don't think it's, huh? I do. I don't think it's going to be Tara.
I couldn't even tell you the name of that actress.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember her either, but she's Billy Loomis's daughter. So from a story, like if they really wanted to build Jenna Ortega, in fact,
other than Hayden and Courtney Cox and who else is in this that I know? Oh, Jenna Ortega. I couldn't tell you the name of the rest of the cast.
No, I don't. But from a story perspective, I think it is. I think they're going to follow her. It wouldn't surprise me if Ortega died in this film. Wouldn't surprise me. Or maybe Ghostface is Sam. You know, whatever. I mean, who knows? But
I'm excited.
Gotta build that.
Is it March 10th or the end of March? I can't remember now.
March something.
March something.
All right, let's see here. A lot of people talking about Scream. That's good. Just looking for some questions.
I did tell you I started to watch that movie Sick.
Yes.
I watched about like 20 minutes of it and I got so bored. I don't think I'm gonna see that movie Megan or Molly or whatever the fuck the name of it is.
Apparently it's good.
Because, well, you know, like you and I have very similar tastes in horror movies, and Chrissy's daughter also has very similar tastes in horror movies as I do. And she went and saw it and she didn't like it. She was bored with it. I'm like, well, she likes the same shit I like. And I'm like, if she got bored with it, there's probably a high probability.
Oh, she went and saw Megan and just thought it was.
She went and saw Megan. She just didn't. It just didn't.
Fair enough.
It was like the movie had a hard time identifying itself as, for her take on it anyways, as being horror or comedy. At least that's what she was saying. You know, but as far as Sick goes, yeah, like I heard your buddy there, drum, whatever the fuck his name is. What's his name?
Drum
Drums. What's his name though? I don't know.
Lee McCoy.
Thank you. He did a review on it and he really liked it. He praised it. So I was like, all right, well, this thing's getting like high reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like 20 minutes into this thing and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking bored. Either that or I'm just like, as I get age, I don't know if you're having this problem too, as you get older, that your tastes in horror movies change, that it's not the same as it was when you were younger. It's a modern day slasher. I'm not, but it's, I don't know, like just didn't keep me intrigued enough to like to want to like keep watching it,
Agreed. Yeah, no, it's for sure. I mean, I sort of think that way. With a lot of horror movies that come out, I'm very picky and it takes a lot. It takes a lot.
Seriously.
It does. Really does. It does. Super chat comes in, but I just want to get, there was a regular question I was going to get here.
Well, there was one I wanted you to, because there's a kid who said he wanted you to give his girl a shout out that it would make her night or year or something. I thought that was cute.
Oh,
we're trying to help. Right. We're trying to help you, buddy, to get.
Oh, I see it here. I see it here.
Score here.
I see it here. Stone Cold says, "Hey, Dave, if you said hi to my girlfriend Rachel,
you should do it in the Stone Cold voice."
Well, this is Stone Cold, not Stone Cold, unless it's a typo. Hey, Dave, if you said hi to my girlfriend Rachel, it would make her night and possibly her life complete. All right. Well, hello, Rachel. How are you? I hope you are doing well. I hope you and your boyfriend Stone Cold are hanging out and having a good time watching the show tonight. And thanks for being a viewer. Thanks for watching, Rachel. Really, really appreciate it. So take care and have a wonderful 2023. There you go, my man.
Now it better be a good night for Stone Cold.
Right, exactly. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Robert Thidoff says, Dave and Tony, which disappearance has a better chance to be solved? Amelia Earhart or Jimmy Hoffa? I love these. I'm gonna say.
I will tell you this though. It's funny because I'm not really the Jimmy Hoffa thing. I've never really cared about.
I think Amelia Earhart, I think, has a better chance of being solved.
Yeah. And I get very intrigued with it. I love watching shit on that story. Yeah,
it's fascinating
because it's very fascinating for what unfortunately happened. Obviously.
Yeah, didn't what's her the actress Hilary Swank? Didn't she play her in a movie?
She did. Her and Richard Gere.
That's right.
A movie.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Gotta watch that. I like her. Right. I like her as an actress. I think she's really good.
Yep.
Super chat $20, very generous super chat of $20 comes in from Taylor Paulson. Thanks, Taylor. Says, didn't want to say this because I didn't want to offend you or make you mad, but you guys rock. Tony, did you get a chance to check out Killing Rapunzel? Cool. Cool how you guys talked about Unchained Melody. Cool how you guys talked about Unchained Melody the other week. Cheers from WI, Wisconsin, maybe? Is that Wisconsin?
I think so.
Look
We
at me.
talked about-
Look at me.
we
Look at
talked
my
about-
my Canadian knowing my state acronyms.
This is what sucks about getting old. When did we talk about Unchained Melody?
Remember, I had mentioned it, and it was actually because
because I played the piano and I played that for Chrissy the night we
right,
watched
and then
Ghost.
I mentioned
That was the
Unchained
first
Melody, and
movie,
you're like,
right.
what?
Yes,
you didn't
'cause
even
I was
know.
like, I didn't know. You hadn't. I never told you that story. So
Right.
that was weird. That's what you said, and that's right. And because Ghost was Patrick Swayze Ghost.
That's
if
it.
you guys haven't seen it, that's the love song, the love theme in that movie.
That's it. Yeah,
and
it's a great film.
That was the very first movie we watched together.
Yeah. Killing Rapunzel. What's Killing Rapunzel?
I think that's a tribute band, the Motley Crue tribute
Oh,
band. So no,
right.
I have not had the chance to check them out yet.
Right. Yes.
But I will.
Cool. Yep. Thanks, Taylor. Really appreciate the generous super chat, my man. Static sends in $2 and says Avatar 2 made $2 billion, broke record. Now what? Now what? Well, yeah. So as a big Avatar fan, obviously, yes, Avatar, The Way of Water.
He's going to re-release Titanic.
Yes, Titanic is getting a re-release for Valentine's Day, and it'll make. I mean, it's not gonna make hundreds of millions of dollars or anything, but it'll
he
make
wants to secure that 1, 2, and 3 spot.
maybe. Yeah, exactly. But look, I mean, I made a social media post yesterday, and I'm not going to get on a big Avatar thing because it's very easy for me to do that and defend Avatar. But I will say this: whether you are a fan of Avatar or not is irrelevant in regards to the incredible feat that this movie has made $2 billion at the worldwide box office, and for a number of reasons. Of course, you always have the contrarians and the people that hate Avatar that were saying that it was going to flop and it wasn't even going to make $1 billion and fuck Avatar and fuck James Cameron. Yeah, you have all those people, but you also had analysts and film analysts that study the box office and things like that who were also wrong. I mean, they were looking at it from more of a statistical perspective rather than an emotional one, and they were wrong too. And they knew it would do well. I mean, they were like, look, it's the sequel to the highest grossing movie of all time. It's going to do well. Obviously, it's going to make $1 billion, of course. But nobody thought it was going to crack. Well, not nobody, but very few people thought it would crack $2 billion because only 5 movies prior to Avatar 2 had ever done it, and it did it. And now James Cameron has 3 out of the 6 movies that have crossed the $2 billion mark. So the order, and right now it's sitting in number 6. This week it will cross Avengers Infinity War and Star Wars The Force Awakens to move into 4th place just behind Titanic. And you look at that and you think, so the top 6 movies of all time at the worldwide box office are Avatar, the first one, at $2.9 billion, 2.7 on its initial release, but 2.9 with a couple of re-releases. Avengers Endgame at 2.7, and then you have Titanic at like 2.2, and then you'll have Avatar, The Way of Water. And that's incredible. By any metric, by any measure, it is absolutely incredible. And listen, so you take your hatred for Avatar out of it, for those of you that don't like Avatar. If you love the movie-going experience, if you cherish the theater experience, if you're somebody, when it's done right. I mean, nobody likes people and talking on their phones and texting and all that kind of stuff. But when you have an opportunity to have a movie theater experience done right, if you cherish that, because obviously because of streaming and all that kind of stuff, it's probably, we're probably going to see it in our lifetime. Theaters either really change or go away all together. So because of COVID-19 and the catastrophic failure, the catastrophic impact on movie theaters.
No, you were right the first time.
I mean
I know.
Yeah, the impact that the movie that they took, because nobody was going. The theaters were closed. We couldn't leave our homes. All that kind of stuff. And they weren't the only businesses that were failing, right? To see this movie reach $2 billion at the box office is great for every movie. It's great for horror movies. It's great for your action movies. It's great for your superhero movies. It's great for movies, period. Because it's great for the theaters. And so yeah, very impressive. I mean, he did it again. The guy did it again, and nobody thought he was going to do it. Nobody cares about Avatar. 13 years. Fuck Avatar. Who cares? It doesn't have a pop culture footprint. It doesn't have this. Who gives a shit? And there it is. $2 billion at the worldwide box office, and $600 million in North America.
There you go.
What the fuck? It's outstanding. Unreal. Now what? Well, we'll see how high it goes. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think it's going to catch Endgame or the first Avatar, but it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to.
It might catch Titanic. Well, depending on what Titanic brings in, because it's coming out around Valentine's Day. It's the 25th anniversary.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to go see it. You know.
Yeah, for sure. It may catch Titanic, but like at this point, no matter what it does, this point forward is just gravy. I mean, it's just like, who cares? You know, it doesn't need to catch the first Avatar. I mean, you know, to have a sequel to a movie that wasn't a franchise 13 years later crossed $2 billion.
It's nuts.
It's nuts. It's fucking nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's insane. Static follows up with another super chat. Thanks, Static, and says, do you think Jamie Lee made maybe 20 million from doing these last 3 Halloween films from Blumhouse or less? I would say probably. I would say that's probably right over that, because I don't think, because she's an actress, but she's also an executive producer, and she would have probably signed a contract that also, she probably had a back end deal as well in terms of box office performance. So I don't know how much she made altogether, but yeah, it was probably over 20 million between the 3 movies when it's said and done. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Super chat from Matthew Ferreira sends in $4.99, says, not sure you caught my previous donation, but you should look up the mystery of the Jonah Lopez missing person case. It's legitimately some spooky stuff. Did you send a donation earlier today or from another stream? If it's from another stream and I missed it, my apologies, my man. So sorry about that. If it's from
Jonah Lopez,
if it's from today, I must have missed it. Sorry about that. No, I haven't heard about Jonah Lopez. Have you, Tony?
No.
The
Check that out.
Yeah, the Jonah Lopez mystery. I'm always down for some true crime stuff. Are you familiar with the Mara Murray case?
No.
Oh, dude,
am I?
Looking at that.
Well, give me a
Mara Murray
synopsis.
is that one where there was this UMass girl from the University of Massachusetts. Yeah, and it was 2004. She was like 21, and she sent an email to, I can't get into it. It's going to get too long, but it's basically about this girl who was driving up to, they didn't know where she was going. She'd sent an email to her professor saying that she needed a week off because there was a death in the family. That wasn't true, according to her father. There was no death in the family. She was dealing with a lot of stress at that point in her life, but she just decided to drive. She got some alcohol. She drove off north into New Hampshire, and she spun out on the side of the road, and on this rural sort of road at nighttime, 7:00 at night in February. So it's not late, but at that time, as you know, it's dark, right? And some people saw her, but it's very rural. A bus driver came upon her, asked if she'd called AAA. She said she did, but she didn't really. He went down the street, parked his bus, called 911. By the time the cops showed up, she was gone. The doors were locked. And nobody has seen her ever again since, and it was nearly 20 years ago.
Crazy.
And it's a rabbit hole of like characters and it's like a fucking movie. It's like be prepared that if you're going into the Mara Murray case,
DM me that name or text me that name so I don't forget, because I'm going to forget in 10 minutes.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's just, it's gotten so saturated and so convoluted that the wild theories, the more cinematic theories, we'll say, are probably, what's Occam's razor, right? So the most reasonable explanation is probably, so she probably was picked up and she was taken away and she was murdered. I mean, that's probably what happened, like realistically. But there's a lot of things about even there's a lot of weird stuff in her life and her ex-boyfriends and stuff. Like, was there a tandem driver? You know, was somebody following her? There was a weird truck scene in the area that night. There's all sorts of shit. There's all sorts of shit. So I'm always down for a mystery like that. So I will definitely check out the Jonah Lopez thing. I haven't heard of that.
Some people are saying you missed some super chats from early on.
Did I? Okay. Let me go back. Thank you for saying
I don't
that.
have access to that. He would have access to that. I don't.
Yeah, no problem. Let me just go and get that. My apologies. I thought I got all the ones from before, but when we were watching the paranormal stuff, it's entirely possible that I missed some earlier. So let me go back. Okay. Mark Burns we got, Mike Mullen we got, Texas Tootin we got, Simon Mills we got. Yes, okay, so Movie Chat and More Part 2. Richard, Movie Chat and More Part 2, sends in £2 and says, would you spend a night in the Amityville house? Yes.
I've photographed the Amityville. I've shared that on Facebook. I've photographed it a couple of times. So I've been there. I've stood there.
Very cool.
Never been inside the house. But I've been there a few times to that property, and it's a gorgeous house. I mean, it really is. It's right there on the waterfront.
It is. And of course, the address,
nice part of New York.
Yep. Ocean Avenue, right?
Yeah.
The address has changed. They changed the address, and the windows are no longer.
We know.
I know, but the windows are no longer crescent moons anymore either, and they changed that.
It's still the windows are there. They're just not crescent moons anymore.
Right, exactly.
It's a different shape now.
Yeah.
But trust me, like I remember the last time. In fact, the last time I photographed it, the windows have changed, and it's like I remember. Like I just tell my friend who was there with me that it's like we know we don't. You could change the address all you want. We know. But like. We know the house
for sure. Oh, for sure. And the owner that has been there for years has said that it's a beautiful home. I've never felt anything, never experienced anything. You know what I mean? So, but the legend will continue. Yes, I did. I missed. So there's Matthew, there's your super chat there from earlier. So yes, my apologies. I see these now. Yeah, there were 3 that I missed. I guess that must have been when we were watching the stuff. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh, and says, have either of you had bad experiences in a theater? Oh, Tony has, and I have too. Like someone talking, texting. What have you done in that situation? Have you told them to shut the hell up or complain to a manager? Well, I'll quickly tell.
I didn't say anything.
No, I didn't complain to a manager, but so I had gone to see. There's a couple of things, but I'll tell this one because it's it was
it's
funny.
a big reason why I really don't go to the theater anymore.
Yeah, and listen, I don't blame you. So my girlfriend and I had gone to see Godzilla King of the Monsters. And this is 2019, I guess. And we were seated in the theater. And I don't care if you're on your phone when the theater's not on. You know, I care a little bit if the trailers are going, because like to me, the trailer, like if it's commercials, I don't care because fuck the commercials. There's too many fucking commercials anyway. Once the trailers start, to me, that's part of the movie theater experience. Get off your fucking phone. But so there was this.
No, you're right, but and don't sugarcoat that. Like
I'm not sugarcoating it.
Back in the day,
it's true.
Pre cell phones and stuff. Like when Dave and I were growing up as kids, trailers were like huge. Okay, like I mean, they were like the shit. Now because everything's it's dropped on social media before so it's not movie trailers. Unfortunately, have lost a bit of their magic because of like YouTube and dropping them on the internet. But back when Dave and I were growing up, fucking movie trailers were the shit.
Well, it's great. And as a movie guy, and I love watching trailers. So there's this kid. Now I say kid, he's probably, I don't know, 22 or something. He's in front of us. He's alone, actually, unless he was waiting for a friend, but he was alone at this point. And we're watching it, and we're watching the commercials, and I can see that he's on his phone, and I'm like, okay, I took note of it, mental note of it, like I might have to, say something. And I don't know if he was texting or playing a game or whatever it was. And then the trailers go by, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the movie begins, and the Warner Brothers logo begins to come onto the screen. He's like, and he's still there on his phone, bright light. And so all I did was I leaned over because it's the stadium style seating, right? So you're kind of like, above, you know? And so I leaned down and I leaned right beside his ear. So my face comes in right here. And all I said was, "You're going to want to put that away." That's all I said. Like, and in the kind of tone that had a lot of a lot of layers to it. I didn't need to say, "Turn it off or I'm going to kick the shit out of you." All I said was, "You're going to want to put that away," in that kind of a tone, in that kind of a voice. And he was like, "Oh," and he put it away. But in my head, I'm thinking, dude, why? Like, how long were you? The movie's beginning. Why are you there? And I should fucking do a video on this. We should do a fucking show on this. Something for all of you out there.
Movie etiquette.
Yes, I understand we're attached to the hip on our phones. Do you know what I do to my phone when I go and watch a movie? I will turn the brightness down. So that if I feel compelled to look at my phone to check the time, or maybe I feel like an email come in or something, I'm like, oh, is that my agent or whatever? And I turn on my phone, it's not God coming through, affecting everybody else around me, because the brightness is at like 2%. And I can still see it. Like, I can still kind of go like this and I can still see it. Don't turn it down to 0 where you can't see it, but have it at like 5%. So it's very, very dim and you're not fucking shooting airplane lights to the entire theater. It boggles my mind that so many people don't even fucking think to do that. God, do you not understand that in a dark room, when you turn on your phone, it's like, what the hell? It's like fucking 747 jet coming in for landing. Stop it. But it's just movie theater etiquette here. Like, come on, like, you don't even think to turn down I always turn it down, because I turn my phone from, onto vibrate, and I put it like, under my leg or in my pocket or something, so I can feel something coming in. If I'm at the movie theaters on a weekend, I might turn my phone off because I'm not bound to get an email from my agent. But if I'm watching a movie at 1:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, then I have to, you know what I mean? But my brightness is always down. It boggles my mind how many times you see a phone go on and you're like, really? Like, really? Turn your fucking brightness down. Tony,
I know. It's like I said, it's the lack of movie etiquette, movie theater etiquette, is the biggest reason why I hardly go to a theater anymore. I mean, it really is. I will wait now for movies to come out to watch them, because I'm not going to spend, it would cost to take me and Chrissy now to a movie, and it maybe her daughter wants to come along too. If her daughter comes along, or it's going to be like what, $200, not $200, $100.
Yeah, depending on the screening you're going to.
Depending on the screening we're going
snacks
to.
and all that kind of stuff.
Snacks and all that stuff like that. It's easily over, even if it's just me and her, it's over $100.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to drop this kind of money to have a theater. And it's not just like one individual now. It's gotten to a point where it's almost everybody's in the theaters checking their fucking phones, because like you said, we're so attached to, these things are so attached to our hip that we, it's like you said, people think fucking God is texting them and that they gotta freaking
well, it's just the light coming through. It's like this, this celestial light. It's like, do you not understand how bright that is in a dark room? Turn your brightness down.
People are talking, and talking is a problem. And it's like people think they're in their fucking living room and shit. So it's like, fuck it, I'll just.
And do you know what I do?
What?
So sorry, I was just gonna say, when my girlfriend and I go to the movie theater, often we will, exchange some remarks to each other about the movie we're watching. But you know what we do? Now, I understand if you're hanging out with your buddy and your guy friend, I get that maybe you don't want to get this intimate. I understand. But then just shut up and watch the movie. But if you're with your girl, if you're with, somebody that you spit with all the time, or I was gonna say something else, but thank you, Tony, for PGing it. So it's like, what I'll do, like if I see something and I want to say something to her or ask her a question, I'll get right to her fucking ear. Is this her ear? And I'll go, be like, I think that's the guy that went into the washroom from earlier. I will say it exactly. I'm not going, I think that's the guy that went into. No, I get right to her fucking ear and she'll do the same to me. Nobody hears us. It's loud to us, but this, I think that's the same guy that went into. Nobody around us can hear that because I'm right in her fucking ear canal. You know, like have respect. Be mindful of where you are. You're not in your living room with your fucking dirty ass shit. Anyway. That'd make a great ranting vid. Oh, it's so like the lack of objective awareness. It's like, shut up! Like, seriously? You know, come on, man. I didn't pay to listen to you. Anyway. Okay, let's get these other super chats. Matthew Ferreira, $4.99 says, it's about an MP ad that played during commercials, 89 and 91, that had an eerie black and white photo with no contact or content info other than the woman's name. An MP ad? I'm not sure what you mean by MP ad. Do you mean ad as an AD, like an ad, like a commercial? It's an MP ad that played during commercials in I-91. I'm not sure. You're talking about the Joanna Lopez thing? I had an eerie black and white photo with no content. Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I get it now. I get it. Very cool. Okay. Well, that's eerie. That's like kind of, you know, The Ring or something like that, like a weird video or something. Okay. Well, I'm going to look into this, man. I'm going to look into it for sure. Thank you for the recommendation. And then Movie Chat More Part 2, £5 says, a fake alarm sent us running during Smile. The sound dropped out in Violent Night for 10 minutes. Thank fuck Megan wasn't ruined. It's a cool movie. Cool. Yeah, well, that's too bad. I don't think I've ever had a movie conk out at me at the theater. I must have at some point. Smile I really liked. I know Tony really liked it too. Have you seen Violent Night yet with David Harbour?
Not yet.
No, I got to see that too. I got to see it too.
I was just checking to see. I thought for a moment, because we talked about Scream, and I'm probably not going to see it in theater, but I have Paramount Plus now, because it's a CBS affiliate, so I can watch a lot of the AFC football games on CBS.
Right.
So I signed up for that this week so I could watch the game this weekend.
Nice.
Games plural. Yeah, it had some stuff on there that I haven't seen yet that I'm gonna watch. But I don't think it's doing what Halloween did, where it's gonna do Paramount Plus and theater release at the same time. I think there's gonna be like what they did last year, like about a 45-day window before it gets to Paramount Plus. So I probably won't see. I might. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think it would be fun to watch Scream 6 together again for the first time here on the channel.
Like we did. Yeah. So, that'd be fun. Well, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'll say, but I probably won't go see it. You know, I may go see Titanic. That I might do just because it's 25th anniversary.
Well, yeah,
I don't think it's going to get a big, you know, crowd. So it might be.
No, re-releases.
Scream, I know, is going to get a big crowd.
Oh, so yeah, for sure. Yeah. No. Titanic will do well, but re-releases, you know, just generate, you know, a few $1 million, you know, maybe Titanic in North America might generate an extra, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 million maybe. And then around the world, another 25 or 30, maybe by the end of the re-release, it might've tacked on an extra 50 or 60 million or something like that. I mean, it's not like it's, you know, it's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars or anything. Static sends in $2, says, next movie I'm paying to see in theater is Scream 6. Oh, not too long now. Matthew Ferreira, $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, sorry for bringing it up again, but I thought that story up because never being seen again is creepy to me because your mind goes to the worst outcome. No, for sure. It is. For sure. It is. It's a very creepy and eerie thing because you don't know what happened, right, Matthew? You have no idea what happened. You don't know what's going on. You know? Oh yeah, it can be really, really creepy indeed. All right, I think I got all the super chats.
Awesome.
I think I did. Want to take like one non-super chat one? Sebastian says, Dave, have you ever been in a fist fight? I have, actually. Yeah, I've been, not like recently, you know, but in school, I was in 2 fist fights and won both of them, by the way.
Good for you.
Good for me. I was scrappy.
Yeah, I gotten too many of that. Nothing to brag about, but yeah, growing up, it just being the small guy out of the group, I was always having to prove myself, and I got into I didn't have my growth spurt until between my freshman and sophomore year in high school, which is finally when I grew. And so being the smaller kid in the group of friends who were big guys, I was always scrapping and just proving like, you can push me, but only push me so far before I finally like, all right.
I think for me, because I'm not a big guy, 5'8", 153, 5 pound, whatever. But in high school, I'm the same sort of size I was in high school, but in high school, which is, usually always the case, right? You're young, you're active, you're athletic. I was in great shape, I worked out with weights and running. I played ice hockey and I was in great shape and I was very strong. I still am, I think deceivingly so. I think people, you look at me and you go, but I've given bigger guys than me a very difficult time. And that's not unprecedented. There's a lot of guys you'd be like, I didn't realize they were so strong or so scrappy or agile, whatever the case is. And I was like that. I was an athlete and, so, it's, there's a lot of bigger guys that they use their size for intimidation, but when push comes to shove, I mean, and you even see that on videos on YouTube, where you'll see like a big guy that's trying to intimidate this small guy and then the big guy gets knocked the fuck out, and you're like, shit, it's because you can be big, but do you know how to fight? Those are two very different things. You know what I mean? So
true story. This is true. This is such a fucked up thing to do, but
here we go.
We were teenagers, so take it for what it is. We were high school teenagers and whatever. So the one and only time me and Chrissy broke up, I was a man with a plan to get this chick back.
Man with a plan.
So what do I do? There was a girl before Chrissy, before her. There was a girl that me and this girl kind of dated, but we weren't really a serious thing. But Chrissy knew about it, and she didn't like this girl. She did not like this girl at all, because this girl didn't like me because Chrissy took me away. Me and the girl had already been broken up, but the girl felt that, because I wasn't giving her attention anymore. She was one of those girls. She always needed my attention, but she wasn't going to, commit. That type of girl.
Right.
We've all dealt with those types of girls.
Yes.
She didn't like that because now my attention was on Chrissy and whatever. So we were in the middle of this breakup. So I had the greatest idea ever. I was like, I'm going to make Chrissy jealous to get her back. And sure enough, it worked, because right? Me and her lived in the same area at this time. So, and everybody hung out on the stoops of our friend's house in this corner pocket of these condos, right on the corner where Chrissy lived and a couple of our friends. Mm-hmm. So I brought this girl over, and not only do I bring her over, right? I sit with her right on the stoops of Chrissy's condos, right in front of her door. Okay.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. And dude, I'm telling you, bro. Now, this girl is the girl that I brought over. She's a high school wrestler, or she was a high school wrestler. So she's taller than me and you, dude. She's probably about 6 feet in height.
Okay.
And Chrissy's probably at this time, she was 15, turning 16. She hadn't quite turned 16 yet. She was a petite thing, but she was tall, not like super tall, like 5'7" This girl comes running out the fucking door, hair going up. Her mom fucking grabs her, and Jess, who's the girl I brought over, goes running to my fucking car and dives into my fucking car. I swear to God, if her mother did not grab her, Chrissy would have fucking ripped her, because she's a scrapper like you. She's just one of those fucking people who just gets into shit, and she would have killed her. And I remember bringing Jess home. She's like, that girl is fucking crazy. Don't ever talk to her again. And all this stuff like that. And what do I do as soon as I get back? I pull right up to her condo. I'm sitting on the hood of my car, and Chrissy comes right up to me, and we made up, and we were back together. I was a man with a plan. And
Well,
my plan worked.
That's amazing. It's love hurts.
Exactly. It's teenage dumb shit. Is
Yes.
what it was.
Yes. I can believe
she was
that.
like, no one's taking my man, and that's it. And she fucking, that was
Yep.
mostly my fault, but whatever.
It happens. Michael Myers sends in $1.99 and says, are there any world mysteries that fascinate you? World mysteries? Like what would be a world mystery? Like the theory of Atlantis, or like things like that kind of stuff? I mean, that is kind of an interesting thing. The pyramids, I mean, that's crazy. Like, how did they get there? Where are they? How did they build them? I mean, it's so precise. The technology didn't exist back then. We can't even really do it now. I mean, those stones weigh however many tons, and they were found like however many hundreds of miles away. How did they get those stones to there to build all that stuff? Oh yeah, all that stuff's really, really fascinating. The ancient alien stuff, and there's a lot of definite, Stonehenge. A lot of interesting.
There is just so much of these videos and topics that Dave and I can probably get into. Loch Ness, would be another fun one.
Bigfoot. We did do Bigfoot.
We did
do
Bigfoot. So it would be fun to do. I'll look to see if I can find a good compilation video of Loch Ness. Although at this point, I think it's been pretty much debunked. But I mean, I know there's still some believers out there. I was always fascinated growing up as a kid about Loch Ness. Unfortunately, like Bigfoot and Loch Ness, the things that Dave and I grew up with and I don't know how Dave felt. I can't speak for him, but for myself, when it came to the Bigfoot topics in Loch Ness, I believed in that shit. Now, obviously, at the time, our technology had not caught up to really be able to debunk a lot of this.
Well, the internet wasn't around.
I don't believe that guy's story had come out yet. The one with the one that where they faked it, with the infamous black and white, the infamous black where Loch Ness is like this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Famous photo.
Famous photo. It hadn't. So like when Dave when Dave and I are kids, and the books that we're seeing, we're taking it at face value that it's legit.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of technology, because of this, that, and another, the charm that we once had of the what ifs that were out there are sadly just gone because, technology's caught up to the point where everything's just getting fucking debunked. And it is unfortunate that young adults and kids can't get to experience the stuff we got to experience as kids, because to me, I thought creatively it used our imagination. To think that maybe Bigfoot exists, maybe Loch Ness is there, But now,
it was a different time. I mean, you're right. I mean, when the internet came along, but it's like this with anything. It's like this for entertainment and movies, and all the bickering back and forth that in the world of fandom and all that kind of stuff, and the scrutinizing and the analyzing and of course, I do it too, but what's because of the channel, and we talk about Halloween and movies, and we'll analyze and all that kind of stuff, and it's fun. Can you overanalyze and go to the extreme? Absolutely, and that's where the toxicity comes in, where all that kind of shit. But to Tony's point, it's before the internet, you would read in TV Guide, or you would hear from your mom or dad that tonight there's going to be a special on Loch Ness, and it's going to air on ABC at 8 p.m. And, so you would tune in and you would watch this like 2-hour special on the Loch Ness monster. And anything that they showed you on that TV was all the information you had. It was all, that's it. You couldn't then, after the show was done, go to Google and look it all up and zoom up and scrutinize and analyze and share. And you couldn't do that. So there is a mystery and a mystique around, our childhood, especially. I mean, obviously when we became later teenagers, 17, 18, the internet was on the scene in its infancy, and it was just starting to come in. I mean, I didn't get my first email address till I was, 19. But it was just,
I don't even know where I got mine. I was probably like in my early 20s.
Yeah,
because I didn't care about it in high school.
Well,
it was around, but I didn't care.
Again, it was in its, like, the internet existed when we were in high school, but it was It was
Right.
it was archaic. I mean, it wasn't what it is now, right? And so, nobody was like, I didn't go home and surf the internet. I didn't have a cell phone. I did not there was nothing like that. So, there was still.
When did I get my first the Nokia? That was my first cell phone.
Yep, same. The black Nokia phone. Yeah, it was a lot of it was the favorite. Yeah, the one you could play Snake on, that little game called Snake, I think, or whatever. My first cell phone was 2001. I was 22, and I needed to get it because I had just landed my first agent. So I needed a cell phone because they were going to call and text and stuff. But yeah, there's a mystique and a mystery that surrounds the childhood innocence of learning about all that, and it's eerie and it's mystical and it's, wow, is there really that? But now you can debunk something in 4.8 seconds, or you can, which is a good thing, because I would like to think that most of us want to live in a world that's as truthful as we possibly can, and if somebody fakes something, I don't want to go on thinking it's real. But yes, you're right. There's a certain, like, the mystique is still there. It's just in a different kind of way. We could only analyze Bigfoot photos, when a special would come on TV, because there was no internet. We couldn't go to a website. We couldn't, and I mean, maybe a library or something, maybe to find a book or something, but that was it. And so, yeah, there is, I remember my dad would tell me like stories about, an experience he'd have, or, about Loch Ness, or, the Patterson video and Bigfoot, and you'd be sitting there, listening, and you'd ask questions, you'd be talking, and it's really cool. But now we just go to the internet, it's effect. And so that's just not, it's not as romantic as it was, years and years ago. That is very true. Okay, I think we got all the super chats. Let's just answer a couple of non-ones. Daisy McMillan says, I do miss seeing trailers in the old TV spots and not knowing anything till you see the movie. Could not agree more there, Daisy. And then, people are talking about fighting and boxing now. That's good. It's good that you guys are talking about that stuff. R says, always gotta watch who's debunking certain things, though. A lot of censorship anymore. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, there's that's true. That is true. But that falls on both sides, right? Falls on both sides. You just have to learn to be a critical thinker and not take everything at face value so much.
Yeah. I think though, when it comes to Loch Ness, that's pretty concrete. There's nothing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that, and if there is something in the lake,
or
then
was past tense,
or was,
maybe.
yeah. I mean, maybe years and years ago there was something, but if there's, it might just be a big fish, or
right.
I don't know. But is there a brontosaurus?
or a dinosaur?
A dinosaur
type,
that's gone untouched. Yeah. No, but it's fun to think about. It's fun. And every culture has their urban legends, right? I mean, look at Mothman.
I mean, go back to the Egyptians, man.
Yeah.
Shit, and the stuff that they believed in and whatnot. Oh yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, it's true. It's crazy stuff. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. I want to thank our great moderators, Frank Riker, Tab of the Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, Tony Snyder, Andrew Stevens, Cody Snyder, excuse me. I said Toby. Toby Snyder. Who's that? Cody Snyder. Thank you to the super chat questions that came in, of course. We really appreciate that very, very much, supporting the channel and the show. Tony and I will be back next Monday night, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for episode 178. Amazing stuff. Folks, if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let Tony and I know your thoughts on some of the videos we watched or paranormal experiences. Are you a believer? Are you not? Just jump into the comment section, have some fun down there, and let us know what you think. Tony, any last things you'd like to say?
No, see you guys next week.
Alrighty, that's gonna do it. Oh, if you want to follow Tony and I on social media, the links are there and in the description. All right, folks, until next week. In the meantime and in between time, we will talk to you soon.